Don't blink, it's your blink. Welcome to another show. Guys are doing well on the 6th November 2024. I hope you guys are ready for a mukbang because what's we're about to do. Sorry about the lighting. Ooh, this is nice though. We're having a little bit of a sunset, a very cloudy sunset. So still getting some nature, still being hang out on the balcony. It is nice because it is like 11 degrees, which is super cool. I want to do a mukbang today. On the menu we have the amazing chicken wings, onion garlic. I'm gonna take a second picture, which is gonna be for the thumbnail. So look how we're gonna do it. I'm gonna take a second to do behind the scene. So technically I should have done a thumbnail before. I was supposed to do another video, but I realized that I couldn't do it because I don't have the first part of the video filmed. We'll do a little bit of a thumbnail behind the scenes. So here we have our meal. We have chicken wings. Once again, they're onion garlic, right? I think for a thumbnail, what I would like to do is I would like to take a wing and in my mouth, right? Now, technically speaking, I need a end to hold this, a end to hold the chicken, and an end to press. I don't have 3 hands. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait like this, right? Stuff. In a perfect world, I'm doing like this. I'm doing like this. There you go. Ah, there you go. That's an actually nice one. There you go. That's perfect. There you go. So, it's so weird. I took a little break from making videos because I was getting to the hospital. I was in and out of the hospital. But I'm back and it feels good. And the law. Oh. Holy shit. That's so good. That's unworldly. That is unworldly. Very good. So the mukbang today is a very simple one, and it's a couple of rules, but it's gonna be a very personal mukbang. It's gonna be a very important mukbang. If you want to watch a mukbang, you should probably watch this one. Well, I want to talk about one of the things. That completely changed my mind. Completely changed my perception. Oh, by the way, if you guys wanted me to do a comeback on the Trump election and the Kamala election, I'm Canadian, okay? That's not my business. This is really good. So, a couple of days ago, 2 days to be exact, we did a video called The Law of Minimal Effort. And that video was super simple. I want to see me doing the worst possible video, putting the less effort, seeing the work the algorithm is gonna do. So for example, I can do a video where I talk like this about a very personal subject and put in the effort to actually make a video. And the algorithm will possibly do the same work with this video as another video. But I fell in love with the word law. And again, before yesterday, we weren't making videos because I was in and out of the hospital. I got a piece of plastic stuck in my ears, not a big deal, but still. And I was looking for, because I love the law. See, my whole life, we'll do it quick. No, it's gonna be a long video, but we'll do a quick intro. My whole life, it was a battle of finding what's right and what's wrong, right? And by finding what's right and what's wrong, I was able to navigate through the sea called life. And by navigating through the sea called life, I was able to say, you know what? Okay, this is good, this is good, this is good, right? Now, with this information, I was also able to say, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. I'm just making an illustration of my thoughts. So basically, then I realized that there was no good, there was no bad, it was a balance, right? And for me, we're also reading Tokyo, which has a lot to do with that. To me, the laws are here to maintain balance, right? Everybody's suffering from the same law, which is a sort of balance. Now you can enter into the it's actually a cool subject. I could do that too. You can also talk about how some people will corrupt other people and say, hey, this is I'm not gonna be in that law. But a sense of balance is an illusion, but it's kind of cool. But the laws are important, and one of the law that really changed my perception is the law of normalcy. So the law of normalcy, if I explain it, it does make a lot of sense. There's everybody a law where we all have the same soul net worth. So the soul net worth is what? So you got a I love that chicken. A monetary net worth. How much worth? No. The funny thing with that net worth is I'll take a super rich guy, right? Trillionaire. Now take another person who's poor. The life of the trillionaire for a lot of people is more important, right? But at the same time, they're both living for 70, 80 years. They have the same value. A life is a life. No matter how poor you are, no matter how you act, a life is a life. And in that regard, if a life is a life, then in that regard we're equal. I'm gonna put some light on. I'll be. My hands are greasy. See, if in that regard we're equal, then it's almost perfect because I have this value, you have this value. I'm gonna coexist in that. So, the law of normalcy is that everybody's equal. Everybody has their own life, right? When it comes to price, see, in my childhood, I was a weird kid, okay? I was a very weird kid. I had ADHD, which meant I couldn't listen to people. I had an obsession with video games, and I was a nerd, when it was not cool to be a nerd. So I couldn't listen to people, and I would talk to them about things that don't interest people. Just to say I wasn't very popular. As a kid. As a teen, I wanted to change that. I was very good at first impression. I was very good at remembering name. So I was friendly. This is actually a really, really huge thing. I was friendly with anyone, but I didn't have a friend. Which is pretty sad, but fine. Right? So, when I became an adult, there's also a click in my head. That click is one of the most important clicks in my head that ever happened. It was my apartment. In my apartment, it was a really weird situation at the beginning. It was that not only living alone, but I was okay being alone. The apartment, okay? That's a crazy thing. It might be the craziest statement I ever said. And I said some crazy shit. I told you guys about my parents and how involved they were and how always there they were, right? Which is true. When I went to the apartment, I started feeling very, 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 very lonely. I would call my father almost every day. I became very lonely, right? Very lonely. And then I wasn't talking to my mom. I wasn't talking to my father. So I forced myself to not have any conversation. So I went from a guy who was very lonely and needed that social interaction to a guy that was okay being alone. It took a while, and it was one of the hardest things I did. But I became okay to be alone. I became very safe. I became very self-sufficient. I'm on my own. Cool. We'll have a fucking party. A party in here, but we're still good. And then I realized that kind of the problem is when you're alone. Okay, that's a big problem. Listen, this is one of the biggest click I had in my life. One of the biggest mental fuck up in my life. But it's also one of the most important. Half of the person I am today, is thanks to that click. Because it led to so much things. That click was, not only am I okay being alone, but I've been alone most of my life. I would play video games alone, right? I would listen to music to escape a reality where I was in my own world, which is on my own. Most of my life I've been on my own. And the problem with being on your own is you don't have adversity. You don't have people with opinion different than yours. I'm going to bring up the light because it's very dark. Much better. So we have a lot of problems that stem from that. You don't have adversity, so you start thinking. So I'm telling you, this is next level, like almost psychology, if you will. You start from a point where all of your opinion are being questioned to having opinion with nobody to question them. So you're in. If you're lucky, most of the opinion that you're gonna have, you're gonna agree with those same opinion. You're gonna be like, you know what? That's what I believe. I'm okay with believing that. And ultimately speaking, in a normal person life, they'll think that, they'll talk to someone and that person will say, hey, this is not cool, you shouldn't think like that. Or the opposite, no, this is okay. But they'll have like a sense of balance. Once again, true opinion of challenging one perception. True opinion challenging one perception will equal into, okay, well, two agrees to the perception that I have sense, or three people disagree and like, okay, well, this didn't make sense to begin with. And people can convince you that maybe you were wrong. Just maybe you were wrong, right? Maybe. I don't know. I don't personally know. The cool thing with that, is it's one of the easiest way to self-acceptance, to self-love. It's so weird. Oh my god, it is so weird. This is such a personal video to do. You're not supposed to spend multiple months thinking that every single thing that you say is valuable, because you became in denial that everybody else might have an opinion. Your opinion matters because you're on your own. Your opinion matters because the only person that was truly there, my parents were there, but you know what I mean. The only person that was in every single day of your life that was there was yourself. So you're possibly one of the most important person in your own life, which is, and for years I was like, okay, well, guess what? I'm okay. I'm right. So I became a person that, without believing himself better than others, believed himself to be one of the greatest person that he knew because he was one of the only person that he knew. Imagine, you have a. It's so weird to say. It's so weird to say, okay? But it's very not nice to say, but fuck it. You have a twin brother or a twin sister. I don't give a fuck. You have a twin. And every single day of your life you spend with them, right? And you have a cousin, and that cousin is really fucking nice. And you like that cousin. It's like, you know what? That's a cool kid. No matter how cool your cousin is, who's gonna be your best friend? Your twin, right? Well, you can be your own best friend. That's crazy to say, but you can be your own best friend. And I became that. I became my own best friend. I became my own person, my own confidant. So when I had a problem, I would go to myself to resolve the problem. But if you had the problem before, how can you resolve it? But again, years of solitude made me in denial, right? And the law of normalcy, this is the point where this is the top of the tip of the iceberg, right? We just have, this is the law of normalcy, is an iceberg, and now we just had the Titanic in it, and the iceberg is going down. So the law of normalcy, what I would also do, which was really not good, was I would go to different jobs, and I was working a lot for and I talked about this before, but fuck it. I worked for an agency, a temporary agency that would send me to places for 2 weeks for a month. It was only small contract, right? They were making ton of cash on my back. I was also making cash, so we're good. And whenever I had a discussion or I had an argument with someone, I was like, bro, I'm gonna be gone in 2 weeks. Why the fuck am I arguing with you? Why are we fighting? I wouldn't say that to the person. But I would think to myself. I would talk to myself and say, hey, why am I arguing with this person? I'm not gonna. They're not. We're not gonna be friends. I'm gonna be leaving here and I'll never see them again. I'll never talk to them again. Right? And that was my goal. See, with my parents, which again are the closest people. See, I have other friends. To be honest, it's kind of sad. It's kind of really sad, but real life friend, I have two. I have Shao and I have Carl. Carl is this person that's been with my friend for a decade. Carl is this wonderful person, but I fucking love Carl like a brother. He's like a brother. When I moved in, he helped me. I will always remember the amount of things that we went through. The best thing about Carl is the amount of fight that we have. We had so many fights, but he still made the effort to be my friend. And when we had a fight, I still made the effort. So it's constantly like, hey, Carl's gonna meet me halfway, or I'm gonna meet him halfway, which is important for a friendship or a relationship. But a lot of the time, I had a feeling that Carl's, because he knows me well, he knows how to deal with me. So a lot of time, there's possibly some argument that he gives up because he knows that I'm not gonna change my mind. And that sucks because you're giving in, but that sucks for you because you're basically pushing your friend to agree with you, just because he doesn't want to argue. That sucks. In a perfect world, you're having an argument and your friendship grows stronger. Not, oh well, one of ink mentality again. I'm gonna let it go, right? And Carl is not wrong for that. Carl is not wrong. Carl is a victim in this one. Carl is a victim of having too many fights with me and not wanting to fight more. We've been friends for 10 years, but there's time where we didn't speak for a while. We didn't speak for a fucking long time, you know. Carl, he had this motorcycle accident, and he didn't even tell me. When I asked him, why didn't you tell me? He said, oh, I didn't know if you were dealing with shit. That's a friendship that I have. Not a cool friendship. I want to be more of a friend to him. But in reality is also, Carl is, sadly, one of my saviors. So Carl was there when I had depression after depression and was kind of becoming to pieces, you know? And Carl, maybe there's time when he was kind of depressed and I couldn't help him because I was depressed myself, you know? Anywho, and Shao is another case. He's amazing, but Shao, it's weird. I love Shao to death, like a brother to me too. We've been friends for a bit less than Carl. I've been friend with Shao. I've been friend with for 3, maybe 4 years maximum. Shao is very mature. Shao understands that I don't have that much knowledge when it comes to social interaction. Shao is gonna come to me and gonna say, yo, maybe you should do that. Shao knows how to talk to me, how to calm me down. Shao is able to balance me out, right? But in a perfect situation, I don't want a friend to balance me out. I want them to be themselves, no matter if they're agreeing with me or not agreeing with me. Then, once again, do I see that as... I see that as dishonesty? No. I see that as giving in to please people. It's like your boss, right? It's like your boss. And your boss tells you, hey, I need you to work overtime, right? I need you to work overtime. And you're that guy who cannot say no. Say, okay, I'll work overtime. You're that guy. And it sucks, but you're that guy. So, once again, long story short, back to myself, which is the main subject of the video, again and again and again. I have this law of normalcy. I kept having these short friendship, this short community at work. It was lasting for 2 weeks or a month. My parents. I had those two best. Well, I had Carl. I didn't meet Shao after the last job that I had, which really changed things. My parents. I have this relationship of, especially my father. My father is, and again my mom, and I love them both. They're amazing, but they're just like me. Sometimes my parents are hard to deal with, just like I am. I am hard to deal with sometimes. For example, my father is. He's gonna say, hey, he's gonna talk about the same problem for years and years and years, just to prove a point, right? It doesn't matter if you think that problem, you had that problem. He is. My father once slapped me so hard he left a bruise on my lips, and he would talk about that with pride. And I had to tell him, you look like an asshole. Nobody should be proud of hitting their son and have to bruise them. That's not cool. It's like, oh, okay, I understand. But my father's like that, and my father is very persistent. He's gonna be arguing with you. And my father, the problem is sometimes he'll say, okay, I agree, but he doesn't agree. He just doesn't want to talk anymore. My mom, bless her soul, she's she's an angel, but she gets really stressed. So for example, today, right? Oh my God. Monday, you saw the video. I made the video public. So my mom, Monday, she called me and she's like, "Hey, good news. I have this friend who's a manager at Costco. I can get you in." And Costco's a really good job. So I'm like, "Okay, mom, please do it." So Monday we filled up the application, right? You saw the video. We saw the video together. And yesterday she texted me and she's like, "They might call you today." And I said, "Okay." And then today she texts me again and she'll say, "Please call me, it's important." So I said, "Oh my God, okay, what's going on?" And I call my mom and she's like, Stefan, my real name. "Steph, why didn't you call me?" But mom, they didn't call. I love talking to you, but I'm not gonna call you every day. I'm just not gonna. They haven't called. I'd rather call you and say, "Hey, they called," than call you and say, "Hey, they didn't call." You know, positivity. And I told her, "Hey," and when she called, I was just waiting. I called her as soon as I wake up because I was worried. She doesn't say it's important often, so I called her and she was already screaming at me. And she was like, "Hey, why didn't you call yesterday? And why don't you call today? They might call you." And she was like, my mom, she gets stressed. She was like, don't forget, the guy told me if they call you have to dress very properly. Which personally, and again, something against my mom, I know it's not true. Because my mom wants me to dress like almost like a business guy, like a dress, clean pants to see her. Oh, how you present yourself. I'm more of a guy that's more relaxed. You know, I don't have to wear clothes to please people. If they're not happy with how I look, then why would I bother giving them, if they don't like the outside, why would I give them access to the inside? However, if they don't care about the outside, then they can have access to the inside. Actually, clothes, everybody can buy the same shirt, right? Everyone can buy the same shirt. Being different inside, no, that's different. That's important. That's complicated. She was very stressed, and today I just woke up and she was screaming. And I realized that, okay, well, there's nothing to do here. I'm just gonna say yes. We'll try. We'll call her when she's calmer, and we'll try to figure out things together, right? That's what I'm gonna do. It's super easy. So my parents, this relationship, still a kid. They still see me as this little boy. So sometimes I have to act like I'm their little boy to make them happy, even though I'm not anymore. But it's okay. I don't mind. And lastly, so for I want to be honest and say for 25 years, maybe not, maybe from 18 to from 18 to 25, all I had was these generic relationships, these generic friendship. They didn't really matter. Sadly, I'm sorry to say, but this is the way it is. And at 20, I went to the apartment, which, weirdly speaking, and I told you guys about my parents again, how much they're very present, right? And me going to the apartment was me finding myself, falling in love with myself, discovering who is Invenera or who is Stefan. I didn't even know that guy. I didn't even know who I was before 20 years old, before I come to the apartment. So yeah, with that being said, I had a job, and that job was perfect. It was the reason I had. The job that I just left for 7 years. I wasn't getting bullied yet, so it was perfect. The boss was nice. The guy was nice. The guy was nice. And how can I say that? How can I say that without being in a lot of companies, okay? A lot of companies, the majority of companies actually, they'll treat the agency worker differently. Now, they'll treat like, hey, you're a worker here, but you're not you don't work here. You're a worker, but you don't work. They'll treat you like a problem. Not like a problem, but they'll treat you like a like a neighbor. I see you every day, but I want to treat you like you live with me. With them, PCT, I think the problem with PCT was it was a very small company, very, very small. Possibly one of the first agency worker. They treat me like family. It's close, they treat me like family, the work is nice. I like the work. The boss is kind, I love the work. Yeah? I'm like, okay, no problem. I worked there for 7 years. But that was we're finally getting to an end. The biggest fucking facepalm. The biggest shock of my entire life. I still have this mentality of, don't like me, I don't care. Fuck you. But now, I had a job that lasted 7 years with people I saw every day for 7 years. You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? I was a shit friend. People would give me shit. I was like, if you don't like me, I don't care. I would say that to their face. And I started getting bullied for that too. And the worst thing is, the bully said it. The first one to say it was the bully. He was just trying to bully me. But he was right. He said, you think that everything you do is perfect. And at first I was like, no, that's not true. But I did, to a degree, care about me more than other people. Again, that's from being alone for a long time. I did have my own opinion, and if you don't share that opinion, I don't care. I'm not even going to listen to your opinion. I was getting bullied a lot. My friends were caring. Jay, Shao. They were very caring about me. To cheer me up, they would tease me. I treated as bully. I would give them shit. I would give them a lot of shit. Which wasn't cool. And then, that's the worst thing that happened. The bullying got bad. And then, you know what's the worst thing? It's something I don't think I've ever said. The bullying got really bad. Really, really bad. Every single day. Multiple hours a day. Now, what happened that was really bad was people, I promise you guys, this is true. People will come to me. And this is how young I was. This is how immature I was. Such a lesson in life. They would come to me. They would talk to me. And I was like, why do I have to change? He's the one that's wrong. He's the one that's bullying me. Why the fuck are you talking to me? I'm a victim here. I'm a victim. Go talk to the guy who's attacking. Go talk to the culprit. Go talk to the aggressor or the defendant versus the defendant versus the accused, right? You wanna know why they were talking to me? Because they think they thought out of the two, I was the one who was most logical. I was the one. They already tried to talk to this guy, but the bully on paper wasn't a bad guy. He was very emotional. So when he was happy, one of the nicest guy. But when he was mad, and he was mad most of the time. Like, okay, fuck you, dude. So they would come to take to me and say, don't listen to the guy. Don't worry, you're doing. He would pat my back and say, you're doing good. Just be you. People that would say, people like you here. Don't worry about him. He's one person. And I was, in my mind, I was getting mad because I was like, they're just trying not to get me to quit. Because, okay. So, you thought the job I had was the easiest thing to do. Easiest thing. put in profile, right? Check if they're the right size, check if there's damage, clean the paper, put some polyamide. Easiest thing in the fucking world. Easiest thing. And out of the company, possibly one of the easiest job. Easiest. You want to know why I had that easiest job? At first I thought it because they didn't trust me with anything else. No, because nobody wanted to work with that guy. And you were working directly with him. So what happened is, you saw the work I had. We had the assemblage, we had 2 teams. So the 2 first people would put the profile we do in the boxes. That was one team. And I had this one team where I put the profile, he puts the plastic, that put them together. They go in the machine, they go in together, they go after the machine. That's it. We're the 2 of us. So you would work directly with the bully. And then I thought they stopped defending me. They stopped defending me because for the longest time I thought maybe they don't care. Maybe they think that I don't care, but I do care, right? For the longest time, when they stopped defending me, it's like I'm alone against that guy. So then you know what happened? I did a depression. You already know that. Very good. When I came back from the depression, the whole feeling of the company, the way they treated me, completely changed. The boss, he called me and said, listen, if you have a problem, you have to tell me. You never told me you have a problem. You never told me, so if you don't tell me, how am I supposed to know? And people were like, yo, this guy is hard to deal with, but you have to take on yourself, we need you. And then I got hit by the law of normalcy. See, for multiple years, I had a I thought I was my only person I could trust. I thought I was the only guy that I could rely on. I thought I was the only person that would give a shit about me. But when I came back from depression, they took the time to tell me, listen, this is what happened. This is why this is happening. This is what you're doing. You're not a victim. Sometimes you provoke him. One of the best guy, George. I talked about him a lot. George was a really cool dude. George was a really cool dude that also handled this bully. And the best thing about George was a really fucking nice guy. George was a really nice guy. But George had I wouldn't say issues, but George had this. It was emotional too. He was better at controlling it, but when he was mad, he was mad. And then he's the one that I would trust, not because I didn't trust the other, but he would be the one I trusted to deal with the bully because he was emotional too, so they were similar, right? And George was like, yo, I understand that he's taking a step further, but you're provoking him. All you have to do is ignore him and he's not gonna do shit. Because the reality is, he would give me shit, and at first I was like, oh, maybe I'm wrong, right? So here's exactly what happened. He would give me shit, I thought I was wrong, I would say, okay, no problem. Then he would give me a lot of shit, and I would forgive him. And I forgive him for years and years and years. Every single day he would give me shit, and say, you know what, tomorrow's the next day, I'm nice. Now, in my mind, being nice was a power, because I was like, you know what, you're not gonna break me down. You're never gonna break me down, I'll stay strong. But he took it as a challenge to break me down. And at the point I got fed up. And I started talking to him. I started answering back. He would be mean to me. I said, fuck you. He would say, hey, he would call me faggot. He would call me death threats. And I would say, fuck you, you're stupid. There's one time, right, where we were working. And we were 2 people working. And we were putting plastic to protect the painting on the pieces before we put it. And we were talking. And he went to me and he gave me shit for like 20 minutes. We were talking. I thought I just left. But the law of normalcy it's such a beautiful law. It's the biggest lesson. Doesn't matter what you're going through. So yeah, so my neighbor, she needs to talk to me like I get it. She's she's lonely. I get that. But if you're saying hi 2 or 3 times and I don't answer, maybe I don't want to talk. It's not so much about not wanting to talk to her. She's a good person, but it's always the same thing. Saying, hey, how are you working? How's your mom? And it's not necessarily pointless conversation, but it's conversation. It's like I'm I used to do that too. I used to talk about the weather. I didn't really care about the weather. I just wanted to talk. She doesn't really care if I work. She just wants to talk. That's not mean, but that's not necessarily nice, right? I'm busy, and I'm sorry to say that I'm busy. So to finalize, the law of normalcy, one of the hardest law. No matter what you're going through, no matter who you think you are, no matter what you're suffering, no matter who you're talking to, no matter what's your position in life or in society, we're all the same. Even though I was getting bullied, I was this normal person. I didn't deserve to be bullied, right? That's true. But the biggest thing that I did with that was I was expecting people to protect me. I was expecting people to be like, hey, why aren't you doing anything? So I would, the guy was an asshole, right? A bullying, aggressive, insulting. And I definitely didn't deserve that. And I definitely didn't deserve it for multiple years. But I started to provoke him. By provoking him, I was as guilty as him. And when I'm saying this is important, not necessarily a case of who's right or wrong. You're provoking him, so it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. You're as bad as him. And it took me a while to understand that. It took me a long time. But then I understood it. And that law to me was the hardest. And if I had to recap it to make it simpler, it's super easy. Being alone for so long made me discover who I was. Made me fall in love with myself. Because I fell in love with myself, then 5:30, that's not bad. I'm gonna have to go play the tower because the tournament's night. The love, because I was alone too much, or too long. I was alone. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. A normal human isn't supposed to spend those many years alone. We're not supposed to. It's gonna fuck you up. And because of that, I discovered self-love. I discovered myself, but I discovered self-love too much. I didn't have a person to ground me and say, hey, maybe that's too much self-love. So without saying that I was perfect, without seeing me as perfect, I saw myself as the guy who was right. So when people were, and it's funny because people would come to me and say, no, this is wrong. But in my mind, it was not possible because I've had the same opinion for 2-3 years. You're gonna come in and say that's not right. This is nuts, right? But hey, anywho, long story short, this is a pretty good mukbang. Gotta talk about it. Tomorrow we'll do a law about the balance of the world and the laws, and we'll do how quick it is, how nice it is. I love you guys. Take it easy. Be kind to each other. Be yourself. Peace. I was supposed to burp. Didn't work.